and let us all do we can to build a better future.
And I would say that today's episode is really an update about what is going on. So let's talk about the first story. It has to deal with mental fitness. So everyone think. And it's not, on the one part, this isn't funny. On the other hand, I almost feel like going back in time and screaming at everyone. We all voted, I didn't, but a lot of people vote blue no matter who, voted for somebody that's not mentally competent, and now everyone's realizing that something's wrong with Joe Biden. So Biden's mental fitness increasingly worries voters, and there's some new polling data that's showing that they are concerned about his mental fitness. Nearly half of American voters don't think President Joe Biden's firing on all cylinders. Well, gee, is water wet? Is the sky blue? And
what
nearly
was your first clue?
I don't know, the way he's been creepily acting around young people, women.
That's been going on a while.
And
but,
of course, how he's been stuttering and stammering and
that more like it, or
over the
just
place.
like the forgetfulness. I think the forgetfulness is one of the biggest. Or yeah.
So, and again, this is why we need to have age limits. And this isn't against anyone that's in their 80s, but seriously, in the realm of politics, at nearly 80 years old, Biden's low approval rating has been linked with his apparent declining mental faculties. This is so important. I mean, we got Dianne Feinstein's 91 years old. What more can she do?
And she's definitely like, there's her staff is saying, right?
Yeah, like, come on. We are supposed to be the most powerful country in the world, and our leaders aren't all there. A Political Morning Consultant poll published on Wednesday showed only 40% of voters agreeing that Biden is in good health, a 19-point drop since voters were asked the same question in October of 2020. Some 46% of voters reckon that Biden is mentally fit, while 48% disagree. Another huge drop last October. Back in October of 2020, with a month to go before the presidential election, voters believed that America's oldest leader to take office was mentally fit by a 21-point margin. Really? Because everyone had Trump derangement syndrome. That's why they felt that way. Biden's mental health has long been a target of Republican attacks. It's been a target for a lot of political groups. Everyone's been calling this out. However, the right's criticism of Biden's brain power have entered the mainstream since Biden took office. Videos, oh really? Because we've been covering these same videos too during the general election cycle. That's what we've been talking about, but we had a lot of people say, how dare you talk about Biden this way? Well, it's here. It's standing right in front of you. You can't ignore it. Videos showing Biden forgetting the names of his own officials and foreign dignitaries, wandering around lost at global summits, and most recently praising the, I can't say this word, great N-word baseball player Satchel Paige, have all eroded public confidence in Biden's cognitive abilities. Meanwhile, record high gas prices, soaring inflation, lackluster jobs, numbers and shortages of food and consumer goods have all chipped away at Biden's approval ratings. A USA Today poll earlier this month put Biden's approval rating at under 38%, while 44% of voters in Wednesday's Political Morning Consult survey approved of Biden's job as president. 58% disagree with the statement Joe Biden is capable of leading the country. Biden turned 79 on Saturday. He's in his declining years. Why are you doing this? Why? And he has said that he will run for re-election in 2024. He will be 81 when Americans go to the polls that year. Thursday's poll found majority of voters felt Biden lacks energy and is not a clear communicator and is not a strong leader. Well, no, duh. We've been saying this throughout the entire 2020 primary and general election. The debates between Trump and Biden was two old men fighting over a bowl of soup. Does that offend you, vote blue no matter who, or Trump supporters? Because that's who all of you were going to bat for. Two senile, mentally incapable old men battling over an old bowl of stinky, cold soup. That's what we had to vote for in 2020. And I used my brain, and I decided to vote third party because I was not going to participate in that epic disaster of the 2020 election cycle. So, Kira, let's go ahead and talk about this. Biden.
So much.
Mentally capable or not?
No. First of all, I'm gonna do surface level commentary right now. Is he fit to be the leader of the United States? If you can't string a sentence together, dementia or not, deterioration or not, I don't think that you have the qualifications that it would take to actually be a powerful leader of leaders, right?
Yeah.
And not to change the subject like for too long or hop over to somebody else, but Nancy Pelosi, the same thing. I mean, I don't know that she's mentally deteriorating, and I'm not going to be the one that like starts that rumor, but she certainly slurs nonstop. You literally can't understand what she's saying half of the time.
Yeah.
And it's appalling. It feels abusive. And, it's like, I'm glad corporate media is finally catching on, but like.
Finally, but it's too little too late because these were the same people who were promoting Biden through the 2020 election cycle. I don't mean to cut you off. Sorry,
no, for sure. No, absolutely. And it's, I mean, this polling indicates to me personally that it's like Biden is in front of people more now, and so it just becomes more and more obvious.
Yeah.
Right? This polling wouldn't look like this if there wasn't an issue. You know what I mean? Because, when you're in the debates and stuff and you're not like always in front of everybody all of the time, people might be like, oh, he had that gaffe there, or he slurred a little bit there, or he forgot Obama's name when that was half of his campaign. Yeah. Half of his campaign was, I was with Obama. The other half was, I'm not Trump. Right? Yeah. And it's like, and he forgot the name of half of his campaign. Yeah. And it's like, oh, that was like a huge indicator. But even if that all wasn't enough for you, right? It's the seeing him more frequently in this role that I think people are finally, and I think people are already keen to it, honestly. But mainstream media is finally starting to like, whoa, okay, there might be an issue here.
Well, let's actually rewind back the clocks, because remember, what I like about our team is that we covered the debates. We covered the debates, the Republican debates, the Democratic debates. And if we rewind back the clocks, when we covered the first Democratic primary debates in 2020, we saw firsthand Biden slurring and stammering, and corporate media was also agreeing, hey, something's wrong with Biden. He's not all sharp. He's not all there, until they got the memos and talking points, because they were worried about Bernie Sanders. There was also, again, blocking Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. Boy, oh boy, 2020. What an innocent time, almost. I mean, my goodness. But the thing is, now corporate media is remembering what they saw during those primary debates, because we saw those debates. We saw how Biden was struggling. And even at the end of the day, all the people who were going to bat for him and eventually endorsed him, they take a lot of responsibility for this. Senator Bernie Sanders, former Representative Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, all of them, they went to bat saying that Biden was going to be the most capable person. And we knew from the beginning, from that primary and even till now, nothing fundamentally changed from my point of view. I'm looking at Biden. He was never mentally fit for this office. A lot of corporate media, the Democratic establishment, I guess cul-de-sac progressives, all of them were carrying water because they wanted to stop the orange bad man. But the orange bad man, Trump, is running again in 2024. And if we get a repeat again of these two debating each other, I think at this point, if you're voting Democrat or Republican, I feel sorry for you. I understand if that makes you feel comfortable. But you do realize that those two parties don't care about you if those are their heavy hitters. They decided to go for the bottom of the barrel. And this is and at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, what does the office of President of the United States mean if the president can't even put together a sentence? And then we have Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, who's 88 years old, who's slurring. And then you have these House progressives, AOC and the other progressive caucus, going to bat for her and saying, well, that's our Speaker of the House. Why didn't any of you take the initiative and actually challenge her and fight back? AOC, you have that old woman bully you, turning your no vote to president, and then Dianne Feinstein, 91. And this isn't, I'm not trying to be ageist here, but we gotta have some dignity, and we need to have people who are aware of what's happening 24/7 in this day and age of of technology and information coming at us at seconds.
Most of our legislators don't even know how the internet works.
No, that's true. I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean here, but a lot of these old people, look. Your best years are behind you. Live your best life.
Or maybe their best years are ahead of them if they would just flip and retire. Why don't these people want to retire? Go ahead.
Because you know why? A lot of them are greedy, and they got not high school mentality, elementary school mentality. Our Washington, D.C., Tulsi Gabbard said this in Joe Rogan's podcast, that Washington, D.C., it's like a high school mentality there. I would say it's more elementary school, especially seeing how you have these senior citizens who should really step aside. You know, live your best life. Walk by a volcano. I don't know, that was
And you
a
have
thing,
all
you know?
this money.
Yeah.
That's the other piece. It's like most of these
Nothing's
people
enough for
get
them.
really rich being in office. You have
Yeah.
all this money. You have these. You probably have family and grandchildren, and well, that's the other thing, right?
Right.
They barely work.
They don't work at all.
So that's the other.
They're always
piece
on
of it.
vacation.
Or they're just fundraising. But I mean, you
Yeah.
all know what I mean. They're on vacation constantly.
Right.
So maybe the job of legislator feels like retirement. You
Yeah.
know, but and age limits, I don't really think age limits are appropriate, but term limits would actually take care of this
Right.
issue because most of these people aren't newly coming into office at the age of 70. They're coming into office in the age of 35 and staying until they're 80.
Yeah, or 90.
Literally, they're like, I mean, I do still love Bernie Sanders, and he's been in office for 4 decades.
Yes.
Like,
But there will be a time, and look,
that's just too long.
Agreed 100%. Because even though, look, here's the thing. I know we all have our opinions on Bernie Sanders, myself included. I respect how he's inspired people to get more involved in politics. Obviously, we have to push the narrative far more harder than he is,
Right.
because he's not going to be around forever. But even then, let's say, and again, I do want to focus back on the Biden and him not being mentally fit. But let's look at this scenario: 2024. You're going to have Donald Trump running for the Republican Party. I don't know how that Republican primary will turn out, but I think if he's running, no one's going to go up against him. Then there's possibility of Biden running again in 2024. Will he how will he handle himself in debates? And let's say, put in this what if scenario, let's say Bernie Sanders decides to throw his hat in the ring for a third time, which I don't see
I
happening.
highly doubt that. And if he does it under the Democratic Party ticket
again,
again, as if the first time wasn't enough
The
to
second time, yeah,
recognize
exactly, yeah.
that they don't want you as president and that you will never be a Democratic president of the United States, dude.
Yeah.
So if he did, which I don't think he will,
Right.
he better not do it as a Democrat.
it's just I'm really annoyed that these are our options at this point, and we have people who are from a different time and a different mindset. And looking at Biden and how he's been protected by corporate media, by cul-de-sac progressives, by the establishment, by blue checkmark people, by vote blue no matter who, and those afraid of Trump running again or even during the Trump years. You're going to bat for somebody that's creating a system for somebody like Trump or Trump again to run again. And we could get somebody worse than Trump too. The thing is, with everyone going to bat for these politicians that are from the establishment, there's a price that will be paid. Because a lot of Americans right now are still struggling. We're still being evicted from our homes. We're still riddled with debt. We're still dealing with climate change and so much more. And what are our lawmakers doing? They're abandoning us. They're not going to face the challenges that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I have to say, how do you inspire people to turn out to vote or even respect this entire election system that we have when we have people in power that don't even give a damn about us in the first place, Biden included? Because we're going into 2022, and it's going to be a sign of how American voters really think about his administration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think those polls are actually, I know they're not faring well either. No. And they shouldn't be, because the Democrats don't deserve our approval.
No, absolutely not. And especially with them going to bat for Biden and all the Democratic candidates that were in that primary who then decided to endorse Biden, Bernie, Tulsi, Andrew Yang, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, and the whole other clown car.
That's what it was.
All of you take responsibility for this too. None of you gonna, because all of you endorsed Biden, all of you wanted to stop Trump. Well, here's the cost of it. Voters see, and we've been saying this for a long time, that he was never mentally fit for office. So you own this. You guys decided to endorse him. You guys and gals who were in the Democratic primary, all the candidates, you endorsed him. So now you own this. So good luck in convincing anyone to participate with the Democratic Party in 2022, because they all do. From Bernie to Tulsi to everyone, every single one of them. You endorse Biden, so you live with this.
Yep.